The Bible has much to say about the persecution and oppression and ultimately freedom. And Jesus, in reading from Isaiah at the synagogue in Nazareth, said, "The Spirit of the Lord is on me, because he has anointed me to preach good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim freedom for the prisoners and recovery of sight for the blind, and to release the oppressed." We all know the words of Ecclesiastes 4:1. "Again, I looked, I saw all the oppression that was taking place under the sun. I saw the tears of the oppressed, and they have no comforter. Power was on the side of the oppressors." What we now see in Iraq and Syria is genocide. It meets the official Rafael Lemkin definition. It is genocide. It is genocide of the Christians and the Yezidis, and probably the Turkomen, and maybe one or two other religious minorities. I visited Iraq in January of this year with the group that I'm with, the 21st Century Wilberforce group. We didn't have the embassy. We didn't talk to our State Department people. Right now, to get in Iraq, you got to be in at a certain hour and out by dark, and you can't even really know what's going on. So we spent 5 days going through villages, went up to the front lines. Peshmerga took us out and talked to and interviewed roughly 75 people. When I came back, I wondered, does this administration care? Does the Congress care? Does the UN care? And sometimes, does the church care? More biblical activity took place in Iraq than any other country of the world other than Israel. Abraham, my first trip there, we went to Nasiriyah, and our troops said, "This is and he took us to the site of Abraham's village. Isaac's bride, Rebecca's from there. Jacob spent 20 years in Iraq. The 12 tribes of Israel were all born in Iraq. The book of Jonah, Nineveh, they blew up Jonah's tomb 5 months ago. Daniel was buried in Iraq. Ezekiel was buried in Iraq. And St. Thomas conveyed Christianity to Iraq, and the nuns we were with all spoke Aramaic, the same language as Jesus. A phrase not often heard, certainly not in the United States, but it was said to me out there, and when I've been through the region in Egypt and other places, is a phrase not heard is first the Sephardi people and then the Sunni people. The Jewish community in Iraq in 1950 was 150,000. When we were there in January, I asked, and they said, officially we think there are 10 individuals left, and then one person said maybe 4 elderly individuals left. In 2003, there were 1.5 million Christians in Iraq. Now the number is 300,000. Many of you might know better. Some say it could even be as low as 250,000. And we heard from Bishop Werder the other day when he was in town, who also, God bless him, called it genocide. There's something like 17 families leave every day. As we just said to you, the Pope, and I'm very grateful, the Pope in South America, Brazil, I believe, called this genocide. Cardinal Dolan called it genocide. Cardinal Wuerl has spoken out about it. Russell Moore has spoken out about it. Rick Warren has spoken out about it. A number, but not enough have really spoken out about it. I am hopeful. I am hopeful that the Pope will, when he's on before a joint session of the Congress, with all the House and the Senate and the Joint Chiefs and the Cabinet and the world watching, that the Pope will call it genocide. And that in itself can be a game changer. Everyone running for the House, for the Senate, for the presidency ought to be able to articulate what their position is and what they would do with regard to the genocide that's taking place in Iraq and also in Syria. And let's not forget the Coptic Christians, the 21 Coptic Christians who were beheaded, and the word out of the administration was just 21 Egyptians. They were 21 Coptic Christians, and you saw the way that they responded. I today sent a letter, and it's out there, to the Attorney General of the United States, asking them to do two things. One, to begin the process to gather the information to call this genocide. Secondly, to indict and convict al-Baghdadi and Jihadi John. They were responsible for the death of 4 Americans. If this administration could convict or prosecute or bring a charge to the head of the World Soccer Organization, cannot not bring a charge against Baghdadi and Jihadi John. They killed American citizens, 4 American citizens. And the letter there lays out completely why I think and what the ground rules were and what the authority is and why they should do it. If the administration fails to seek and justice for these crimes, it's failing to comply with the mandates that it itself has said. The president stood in front of the Holocaust Memorial in 2012 and declared, "Never again," at 5 times. We failed the Armenians in the Armenian Genocide. We failed them. To have called that genocide would have only honored those who have been killed. Nothing more was to gain. But we failed. We failed in Srebrenica. You remember Gina Delare in Rwanda that said genocide is coming, and we failed. Will we fail in the Middle East?